Sometimes we think we've got the full picture on famous figures, right? Their careers, the highlights. But what about the personal stories driving it all? Today, we're really getting into a love story that was honestly just as revolutionary as the martial arts phenomenon Bruce Lee sparked. I'm talking about Bruce and Linda Lee Cadwell. And the thing that hits you straight away is how unconventional their pairing was, especially thinking about 1960s America.
Oh, absolutely. It really wasn't just a simple boy meets girl thing. When you dig into the material, you see this partnership that was really pushing back against some major societal pressures. The details we've looked at, they really paint a picture of how their relationship challenged norms in ways that might actually surprise people today.
They really do. And what kept standing out to me was just the sheer strength of their connection. It felt like it genuinely fueled Bruce's incredible drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't just happening alongside his career. It felt deeply woven into it.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to unpack how this love story defied the odds and maybe even help break down some barriers.
Okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. 1963, University of Washington, Seattle. That whole college vibe, right? Energy, potential. And right there, you've got Linda Emery. Descriptions often mention, blonde, blue-eyed cheerleader type, but also really academic, not necessarily who you'd picture ending up with a revolutionary martial arts teacher.
Right. And then there's Bruce Lee. He's only 22, studying philosophy, but already teaching kung fu in this totally unique way. He wasn't just going through motions. He had this evolving philosophy, this intensity that was already getting people talking. He stood out.
And they meet in his kung fu class. What's cool is the accounts don't really push that love at first sight cliche. It feels more real, more like an undeniable spark, a curiosity on both sides. Bruce's charisma, that intense focus, and let's be honest, his physical presence that definitely caught Linda's eye initially.
You can imagine. He must have had this incredible energy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just one-sided, apparently. The sources suggest Linda had this quiet confidence, a sort of self-assuredness that actually drew Bruce in.
Yeah, it seems her strength resonated with him too. It wasn't just about his dynamism attracting her. So, fast forward just a bit to 1964. Their relationship is clearly developing. And this is where you have to consider the context. The 60s.
Absolutely. I mean, things were changing, sure, but interracial relationships faced serious disapproval, major headwinds.
Definitely. Bruce, being Chinese American, would have already dealt with prejudice, no doubt. But for Linda, maybe coming from a different background, this was likely stepping into a whole new kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, potentially something she wasn't really prepared for. The fact they pushed ahead anyway, it says a lot about their commitment right from the start. Even something simple like holding hands in public, that was a statement back then for them.
It really was a quiet defiance. And while this is happening, they're also on totally different tracks in some ways. Bruce is this whirlwind of ambition, teaching, philosophy, figuring out his whole Jeet Kune Do concept.
Right, that philosophy of efficiency, drawing from everywhere but making it personal.
Exactly. And he had these huge dreams for martial arts. Meanwhile, Linda's a student, dealing with the expectations for young women at that time. Different pressures, different paths.
But the compelling thing is how they supported each other through those different paths, finding strength in each other's different goals and struggles.
And then their wedding. August 17th, 1964, back in Seattle. It sounds really low-key.
Yeah, described as small, intimate, not the big splashy celebrity thing at all. It suggests their focus was just on them, on their commitment.
Totally. The external stuff just didn't matter as much. It reinforces that idea of them being really grounded in their shared life, not needing outside approval.
And maybe this is a good moment to address some myths, because stories do grow around figures like Bruce Lee.
Right. The accounts we've seen specifically push back on the idea that their marriage was some huge Seattle scandal. Yes, interracial marriage was less common, but it wasn't necessarily this shocking event some later portrayals make it out to be.
Good point. And also clarifying the family situation. Linda's family, while maybe needing adjustments, was ultimately supportive. It wasn't this big dramatic rejection story either.
Exactly. Sticking to the reality helps us appreciate the real challenges they faced and makes their bond seem even stronger, honestly, more relatable.
Okay, so they're married, navigating 60s society. Bruce is this, ball of ambition. What comes next really sets the stage for everything. And it sounds like Linda's role was just crucial.
Absolutely. The sources really paint her as the foundation for his ambitions. She wasn't just a supporter, she was the supporter.
Did her perspective, maybe as someone not initially steeped in martial arts, ever give Bruce like a key insight, helping shape his ideas?
It seems very likely. The material suggests she was a vital sounding board as he developed Jeet Kune Do. Her fresh perspective, someone outside the traditional echo chamber, could have been incredibly valuable in helping him articulate things.
That makes sense. And then, 1965, their first child, Brandon, arrives.
Mm.
A whole new dimension.
Huge life change. And then another big one, the move to Los Angeles in '66. That was massive. Bruce getting the role of Kato in The Green Hornet, that's the leap, right?
Oh, yeah. From teaching students in a Seattle gym to, bam, Hollywood television. Big time.
And Linda's right there, thrown into this completely different, high-pressure Hollywood world with a baby.
The accounts really show her wearing so many hats then.
Yeah.
Mother, yes, but also helping manage his schools, typing up his notes, even sparring with him sometimes. That's deep involvement.
It's incredible, almost like she became woven into the fabric of his work, not just his life. And then their daughter, Shannon, is born in 1969, so now they're a family of 4, deep in the Hollywood scene.
And that scene wasn't easy. The narratives are clear about the racism Bruce faced, the typecasting.
Constant struggle for him, trying to break out of those limiting roles to be seen as a lead.
And through all that frustration, Linda keeps showing up in these accounts as just this unwavering force. Her belief in him seems absolutely fundamental to him keeping going.
Like an anchor, yeah. That stability he needed to keep pushing against those walls. So much so that when he decides, okay, Hollywood isn't getting it, I'm going to Hong Kong to make my own film.
Linda goes too. Packs up the family, moves across the world,
Yeah.
embraces this whole new life of international fame. That's a huge commitment.
It really is. And Hong Kong in the early 70s, wow. The accounts describe it as this booming film hub, and Bruce is suddenly the absolute center of it all.
His films there, The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, they were massive. He wasn't just a star, he was a phenomenon. And Jeet Kune Do was exploding globally.
But the pressure must have been immense. Writing, directing, choreographing, starring. The workload sounds relentless.
Totally. And Linda's got her own challenges, right? Raising 2 kids in a foreign culture, adjusting herself, plus dealing with the insane media attention. Tabloids.
Yeah, the rumors definitely swirled. Infidelity whispers are mentioned in some sources.
But interestingly, there's little concrete evidence cited, and the accounts often portray Linda handling it with like a quiet strength, focusing on their actual bond, maybe dismissing the noise.
It suggests that whatever pressures were there, the foundation, that mutual respect, the shared goal was still strong. They were partners in this wild ride.
And you get these pictures of Linda adapting, learning the culture, trying to give Brandon and Shannon some normalcy amidst the chaos. She sounds incredibly resilient.
Which makes what happens next even more heartbreaking. The sudden death of Bruce Lee, July 20, 1973. Gone at just 32.
Devastating. The official cause, cerebral edema, is stated, and the accounts usually acknowledge the conspiracy theories without getting lost in them. But the impact.
Unimaginable. Linda's 28 years old, a widow, a single mom to 2 young kids under this intense global spotlight.
The grief, the media frenzy, it must have been overwhelming.
And yet, what comes through so strongly in everything we've looked at is her resilience, her determination.
Instead of collapsing, she steps up. She becomes the protector of his legacy, returning to the U.S., raising the kids, but also actively working to preserve his memory.
Her books, like the Bruce Lee story, her work with the Bruce Lee Foundation, it's clear she took on that mantle. Guardian of the flame, essentially.
And it's powerful that she also trained in Jeet Kune Do herself. It wasn't just preserving him, it was connecting with his passion, showing her own strength too.
Absolutely. So looking back at their whole story, it wasn't perfect, no marriages, but it was undeniably powerful. They faced racism, fame, scrutiny, loss.
And they showed that love could cut across race, culture, expectations. They built a family and this incredible, lasting legacy.
And Linda's role continues, even into her later years, supporting Shannon, preserving the legacy, even after the horrible tragedy of Brandon's death in '93.
Another unimaginable loss. But she and Shannon kept going, kept honoring Bruce and Brandon. It's truly remarkable strength.
So the real takeaway here, I think, isn't just about the martial arts legend. It's about this fierce, unconventional love that was right there, fueling so much of it. And it's about the incredible resilience that held that family together through everything.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the kinds of love that defy easy labels, the partnerships built on real support and shared dreams. And maybe it leaves us for the question, what's the true power of that kind of unconventional connection? And what kind of legacies do those stories leave behind? Something to ponder.